Alrighty, I'm going to do a very fast demo on what you can do with fuel receipts. This was really cool for me to even just explore. So what I have here, what you're looking at is the Vault, which is an internal application that we use in order to visualize the data that Veryfi APIs can extract. And this will give you a really nice idea of what you could use the Veryfi APIs for. So, I've got a bunch of fuel receipts, right, that I'm just clicking on at the moment. And, you can see all of them. They've been nicely cropped and extracted. And the extraction is actually this column here that says data. But, they're all nicely cropped because I use a Veryfi lens in order to capture them. And Veryfi lens allows, it actually enables a lot of pre-processing to make sure that the receipt is clean, right? So this one I was actually holding by my hand. You can see the shadows from my fingers, and then you just extracted all the data. Now, what I'm showing here at the moment is line items, right? You see that this, line item here is obviously, categorized as fuel. This is the product intelligence expansion that's available in a data set. So if we look at the data over here, let's just quickly expand it. You'll see there's a lot of information about this line item, right? And then right at the bottom here, we've categorized it as fuel as an example. So we can use this category, brand categorization. We can use this brand categorization as well if we want to actually, but we're going to use this categorization of fuel in order to run some reports. So, I've got here 89 receipts of fuel receipts, and I'm going to click on Insights on the left, and you can see how fast it runs, right? So if I click on vendors, it breaks down all of these receipts by vendor. But the cool thing that I can now do is I can click on this pie, which is essentially product intelligence expansion, and I'm going to type in that category, fuel, and boom. Again, pretty fast. So you see what it has done here. It's actually mapped out all of my fuel receipts, which ones have a matching fuel category and which ones do not. So, the good example here is you see the first fuel receipt from Chevron has got Pepsi Wild Cherry. So that's a food and grocery beverage that was purchased here. So let's tap on it. There it is, right? You see it's being flagged as a policy violation because I've set up Pepsi as a policy violation as well, which is, you can use that for expense management if you want to control policies. But you see, if I scroll across here, the line items, you see there's, Pepsi, which is the brand. You see it's, food and grocery beverage. It gives me an expanded description called Pepsi Wild Cherry. That is correct. I love my cherry Pepsi. So, I can flag fuel receipts which have non-fuel related items. And you can see from here, about 14.6% of my receipts are not fuel related, even though they're fuel receipts. So they have other items on them. If I scroll down further, you can see all the ones that passed. These are all good. And so forth. So that's using product intelligence expansion in order to understand, your fuel receipts. I can actually go one step further and I can start looking at price per gallon. This is really cool because I can visualize price per gallon over the last, 10, 15 years of fuel receipts. And you can see how fuel was pretty cheap, price per gallon in America, until about 2019. Then we hit some crazy times with, nearly $7, right? So look at this, $6.99. Jesus, that's crazy. So that's a pretty intense fuel receipt. So that was crazy time in 2022. But again, you can then use this data in order to show to your customer how the price per gallon is actually affecting them, because we all know that if you're doing any sort of transport, price per gallon affects the price of what you carry, and or obviously your margins as well. So again, you can look at the price per gallon, you can look at it from a pie perspective, product intelligence expansion, and look, there's so many different ways you can carve this data. So, data is king, right? You can visualize all sorts of information just by extracting receipts with Veryfi API and doing what I just did with all of this information. Final thing, you'll see that right up the top here. Also, we've got vendor information. You probably saw the report for vendors. So, you can also create a map and show all of the fuel stations where, someone visited. So you can build out a nice, even interactive map of that as well. So there's just so many use cases for it. The final one that I want to show you is we've got this document, fraud and document integrity component. So every single receipt that gets extracted is checked against a machine model that says, is this document fraudulent? Now, this is really important, especially in the modern era with LLMs and everyone's generating fake, images, fake everything, including fake receipts, right? So Veryfi will check and give you a rating and tell you if it's fraudulent or not. It also checks for duplicates, right? So if someone's uploading the same receipt twice or potential similarities, it does price anomaly check. It does even little checks like whether the numbers are round, right? Because most prices end with dot 99 or dot 98. It does a completeness check if something's missing, like tax. It does a transaction timing, so whether this receipt was incurred during business hours or outside of business hours, like weekends. And if you have attendees, if someone, for example, has got multiple attendees, Veryfi will also flag that. So there's quite a lot of information you can get from fraud and document integrity, but I will talk about that in a separate video and a separate blog post. This is a really important piece that you need to have if you're sort of dealing with receipts in the modern era. So anyway, hopefully you like all of that. You can see you can also generate expense reports here, but again, I'll leave that for another video and or blog post. Hopefully this was, a bit of a taste of what you can do with Veryfi. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm ernest@veryfi.com. I'd love to be able to sort of help you out, look at your use case, and make sure you've got the right solution in place to solve your customer needs. Cool. Thank you.